Hi everyone, we're back live at the Guidewell Insights Lounge. My name is Kate Warnock and we're here at day 3 of Singularity University's Exponential Medicine. I have such a fascinating guest here with us at the Insights Lounge, Mr. Theo Edmonds. Theo, welcome to the interview.
Hi, it's nice to be here.
Oh, I'd love to have you here. Theo is the co-founder of Ideas X Lab. All right, we have to hear about this company, Theo.
Yeah.
I think that you bring a really unique perspective here to exponential medicine. Specifically, you position artists as change agents to help solve corporations and communities' most pressing problems. Tell us how you see art impacting health.
Yeah, sure. You know, like innovation, when we talk about it, we often talk about it as a design issue or a technology issue, but there's another component to it, and that's the human behavior. Innovation is also a human behavior issue, and so we started seeing a real opportunity for artists to engage in non-traditional platforms ranging from advanced manufacturing to healthcare in order to partner with people who have deep skill sets in those areas and expand their creative capacity to reframe questions and position challenges in brand new ways.
Terrific. So I think you're probably one of the most skilled people to answer this next question for us, and that is, do you think that we are in the midst of a healthcare renaissance?
Oh, I think so, absolutely. And you know, the work we were doing with Humana down in Natchez, Mississippi on a project was really evident of that. You know, it was interesting, right? There was a group of artists working with one of the largest healthcare insurers in the nation in a Delta region southern town to help that town become 20% healthier by 2020. And as we were going around talking to people, one of the first things that I had a conversation with was this wonderful lady, and she said, you know, look, we know we're not healthy down here, but telling us to eat more kale and walk a little more is not really going to do it. In order for it to be a catalyzing change, it can't be just about one thing, it has to be about everything. And so, you know, the thoughts that we've been hearing on stage, the concepts we've been hearing, that's what we're seeing play out from the community level up to the corporate level, that it is about everything right now. Hybridity is everywhere we look. It's not totally this and it's not totally that. It's these little threads that are pulling between ecosystems that are creating some fascinating new ways for us to look at healthcare and how we see each other and how we create a more healthy community.
Well, you know, Theo, one of the major themes here at Exponential Medicine has been about remembering that the human side of healthcare is as vital as the technology that is propelling us forward. So, you know, I think that your company is uniquely positioned to really remind everybody, you know, whether it's in a corporation or health industry or in a town, like you mentioned, that the human side of medicine is simply can't be ignored, can it?
Absolutely not. And you know, one of the things that we were lucky enough to be at the Advanced Manufacturing Exponential Conference, the Exponential Finance, and one of the things we kept hearing over and over was how technology can deliver a lot, but it really can't deliver on creativity, and it has trouble providing context. And this is where we see artists as uniquely qualified to be able to step in and partner with people who are doing this type of work, because artists are humanists, you know, at heart. We spend our time synthesizing different ecosystems, always from a very human point of view. So being able to have that as a partner at the table at the beginning of a project, at the beginning of a new company that's being formed, it's a very valuable thing for industry.
You know, I have to ask, if that's you know, intersecting at the very start of a program, what about actually going through to care delivery? Do you ever see artists becoming part of a care team?
Absolutely, and you know, there's a couple of different ways you can look at that. You can look at it as a continuum of care issue, because you know, one of the things that you see in healthcare today is, you know, we hear a lot about electronic medical records and this and that, you know, tying together information, but really it goes back to that human. When the human leaves the doctor's office to go to their specialist and back to their home, what's happening in those in-between spaces? Well, they're living their lives, right? And this is where we have artists that are partnering with communities and working with communities, have a pretty unique insight in what is happening in those middle spaces. So when you're talking about a continuum of care issue, actually having people that are working inside of communities and being able to translate what is happening at the community level into the clinical setting is a valuable thing to have.
And such, you know, so uniquely qualified. You know, we've heard a lot too about how medical education is actually changing too.
Sure.
You know, that the practitioners or the students of today might be practicing a very different form of medicine tomorrow. Can you tell me, are artists going to help create the curriculum that tomorrow's practitioners really need to understand?
I think so. You know, I think education in general is ready for disruption on all levels right now. And the way I look at this is right now we have 2 million BFA and MFAs. Those are degreed artists in the United States, and only about 10% are earning their living as artists. And while that may seem like a bad thing, it's actually a good thing, because what that says is that we have these amazing creative minds that are working in medicine and finance and all of these different areas. And so that integrative macroscopic skill set is a really important thing in today's world. And so when we're looking at education and we're knowing that these, this way of training people to be cogs in a wheel that for an industrialized machine, that's not really how the world is operating these days. And so that integrative macroscopic viewpoint that artists can bring to the table, partnered with people who are at the frontiers of knowledge in medicine, it's a powerful combination.
I mean, I think what you're describing really truly could be a sea change in how care is delivered in the future. If it's filtered through the lens of people like artists living in the community and really translating what does that care need to look like where they live. It could be totally different, couldn't it?
Absolutely.
Let's ask your next question then. You may have already answered this in part. What area of health and medicine most needs to be disrupted in order for real transformation to occur?
I think population health. The way we do disease management, if we were doing it right, we would see the kind of outcomes that we would expect to be seeing. But we have diabetes is becoming a worldwide epidemic. Heart disease is we've not seen the gains there that we should have seen. And I think in large part it's because we still focus this model of fixing something after it breaks rather than keeping people healthy. And so, again, it goes back to how we live, work, worship, and learn and play inside of the cities that we live in, inside of the communities that we live in. Understanding those things gets back to what this lady in Natchez said to me. It can't be just about one thing. It has to be about everything. And when you look around at this conference, there's no one type of person here, really. There's a lot of people interested in different pieces of a new question. And I think that's really a thrilling thing to see happening.
Theo, some of the other themes that, your response just resonates so much. We've had other guests here at the Insights Lounge talk about how health is social, and that you need to feel part of your tribe, and that the tribe needs to feel connected to the larger community. So again, I think that artist is uniquely positioned to be that integration point, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and we just launched what we call the Blueprint for Cultural Health, and what we're looking at, it's a population health model that is artist-led, and it's artists creating projects really at about 4 different nodes. One is health behaviors, nutrition, exercise, those types of things. The second node is access to care, both physical and mental. The third node is the physical built environments that we live in, which also would include air, transit, and those types of things. But then the fourth node, and I think probably even the more important one for where we are, at least in the United States right now, is the socioeconomic determinants of health. And that includes things like income, economic well-being, educational attainment. These are all part of the things that create a healthy community and a healthy individual. And when we are dealing with things like racism in this country, and we're dealing with inequality in the way that our economic system is structured, that's a health issue. Right? And so as we start to look at these things, I think it's going to be interesting to see how different partners that have never been at the table come to the table together. It's going to be wonderful to see how technology plays into this, because technology is being adopted in even the most marginalized communities. Right. And we're seeing this across the country. So I think it has a fascinating and important role to play as well.
But I think that, again, your response just, it's so smart to me, because as we know, social determinants of health can trump even the best technology,
Absolutely.
Can it?
Yes,
so the fact that, I think that makes so much sense, in looking at population health, that it really does have to be an integration of so many different facets that affects the human. One more question
Sure.
for you. What is your vision of healthcare 5 years from today?
The vision of healthcare 5 years from today is that we have equality in healthcare. I believe that health is a right that we all should have equal access to, and we don't right now in America. And I think that's a big issue. But you look at the work of folks like the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and others that are at Ford Foundation that are really starting to do a deep dive into this.
Right.
Health 5 years from now would be a more equal playing field where everyone, regardless of their class in life, has the same access to a healthy life and the things that help to create that as any, across the board.
Well, Theo, I think that you present such a fascinating view of what health could be like in the future, and the fact that artists and creative minds are just going to be such a critical and vital role in translating what those needs are and really propelling the healthcare of the future. So thank you so much for spending your time with us here at the Guidewell Insights Lounge. It was a delight having you.
It's my pleasure.
All right. My name is Kate Warnock. We're going to be up next with another interview in just a moment.